Today's topic, as you can see, is sort of fun because I'm not very good at that whole pun naming title things, but it's about sorting today. So we're going to kind of dive deep into kind of some creative ways you can utilize sorting. I'm sure you already know how to sort, so we're not going to spend much time on that other than just kind of basically saying that you can sort, and then diving into some ways that can really be useful throughout pipeline, help you save time, etc. Alrighty? So let's go ahead and head over to Pipeline. As I'm sure you're already aware, there are most of the pages on Pipeline that contain lists allow you to do sorting. So we're going to start on the transactions page today. But first, how to sort. There are a couple of different ways on most of the pages that you can sort. The first and the easiest way is if you've got the little triangles in the column headers here, right? Either there or there. It'll vary depending on which page you're on. You can click that column header to sort based on that field, right? That's the quickest, fastest way. And again, that can be on different pages. It can be on your tasks page, which I'll open in a separate tab here. You've got different arrows depending on which column header you've got or which field you've got there, etc. Same for the unassigned page, unreviewed, reference, etc. Okay? But again, I'm going to do it from the transactions page here. Let's search here to get a better list. And so that's the first way, is clicking on those column headers. The second way is to use your sort dropdown. You've got a few more options on fields that you can sort from your sort dropdown box or menu item. So I can sort by transaction name the same as I can here. I can sort on close date, but I can sort on these other items, some of which are system assigned dates, like when the transactions were added, when they were updated, right? When the status changed. And those are important fields because they allow you to sort based on those, but also because they allow, any of these sorts allow these fields or force these fields to be displayed. So if I sort based on status changed on, then I'll be able to see the date that the status changed, and it's obviously sorted by that. So that, in addition to sorting, it gives me a bit more information that I can visually see or visually eyeball and look and see exactly when that action has actually happened, whether it's, again, the status changed, when it was updated, when it was added, when it was imported, etc. Okay. And then there are a few more dates that aren't listed here that you can sort on as well. So if you do accepted on, sort on accepted on, then you'll be able to see the accepted on date, right? So the only way to see those dates is to actually sort by them. So in addition to getting the sort, you get the visibility to that field. So that's a huge benefit there. Okay. So those are the two ways that you can sort and force a field to be seen given that sort. Once you've sorted, you've got the ability, the reason there are two arrows here, an up and a down, is because you can sort based on ascending or descending order. So if I wanted to see, let's say I sorted based on close date, and I wanted to not see them in the most recent close date or the closest to today's close date order, I could sort these in the reverse order and see the oldest close dates. Okay, same for transaction. If I wanted to see those in reverse order, first I click once to see them in ascending and then twice to see them in descending. Okay. So that's the basics of sorting. Again, sure you knew most of that, but hopefully there was a bit there that you didn't know. Next is where. I mentioned you can do them on transactions, the tasks page, unassigned. You've got some sorting there, and unreviewed. That's where you can run those basic sorts. Then we get into things that are a little more creative, right? So let's start here on the reference page. On the reference page, you're able to specify categories for each document or link, and that allows you to better organize them so that the segmentation is meaningful for whoever you're setting these up for your entire team here, right? So if you've got different types of docs, you can segment them into different categories like we've done here for Broadway office docs. I may have a bunch of them, I may have even a ton of them, etc., right? So once I've identified how I want to group these and set these up, by default, they're going to naturally sort them in alphabetical order. But it could be that you want them to be sorted in some more meaningful order, right? Maybe there are some that are higher priority, some that are used a lot more, and you want those at the top, etc. So you've got the ability to drag these to relocate, redistribute them, right? Reorder them in the order that you want. So let's say you did that and this makes sense. I really need for this doc to be at the top, etc. But let's say this list grew and got so large that it no longer made sense to keep them in that particular order, and it just got kind of messy and it was harder for people to look through them. Of course, you could still manually reorder them and put them in the position that you want. But once you have started to manually distribute these, they no longer obviously are in alphabetical order, so that automatic alphabetization doesn't happen anymore. But if you wanted to revert to that, you actually could. So let's say I had a long list now, it no longer makes sense to have them in the order that I've got them, and I want them to be alphabetized again. If you reach out to us and let us know, hey, can you reorder the Broadway office forms, set those back to be alphabetical, then we can do that. And then that way, every time you add a new doc, first it'll alphabetize the ones that are there, and then every time you add a new doc, it'll re-alphabetize them properly as well. You don't have to keep manually doing that. So just an FYI there. Okay, let's head back over to our transactions page and look at kind of utility of how, sorting is straightforward. I can click on this transaction header and sort by these, but why would I do that, right? I'm searching a lot. Maybe I'm looking for all my Main Street transactions and I find all of those. The sort can come in handy, particularly since it's just a single click. When I run a search like Main Street, and there are lots of them, and I want to further sort these to really quickly find my item. Let's say I'm looking for 2222, right? So I ran my search based on Main Street. I don't remember the address, but I know it starts with a 2 or something. Then I can go ahead and quickly sort that and then easily go down to my 2s, and there it is, okay? So without having to go to the sort drop down or anything, again, just run my search and with a single click, do a quick sort to help me find what's on my page. And that can be for whatever column header you want to sort, right? Maybe I've run my search for Main Street. I know it's closing today, so I sort by close date, and it's right there at the top. Okay. And the last thing I wanted to go over was just being really creative to kind of force a sort. So in several areas, similar to the reference page, right? Where you're able to name your docs and maybe resort them where you want them to be. Sometimes the alphabetical sort happens automatically, or other sorts happen automatically. So use that to your advantage. The best way to illustrate that is if we go to our checklists. Actually, checklist templates list there, right? So let's say you wanted certain items to fall in place based on the way that you name them, right? So let's say I wanted, I'll start first with groups. Let's say I've got a group and there are checklists that apply specifically to that group. It could be an office, it could be a team, it could be a separate location, etc., right? I could preface or prefix those checklist names. Let's go ahead and edit this one with the office name. So maybe I call this, Broadway, and maybe I'll capitalize it to make it look a little different. Right? So I'll preface all of my Broadway checklists with Broadway. That way they see them easily, right? So if I save that, and then they're going to add a checklist template later on a transaction, right? They can actually type Broadway, right? And then all of the Broadway checklists come up. So that you combine that type ahead that we talked about last week. You could do the type ahead combined with how you've named them to make it super easy to segment those particular checklists. Or another good example would be message templates, right? If I've got a message template and I can start typing Broadway, right? All of my Broadway message templates come up. So that's a nice way of segmenting or grouping different things using your naming convention to both allow them to be sorted properly as well as easily selected. Okay. Some people will also will use numbering, right, on their checklists to help order those properly. You can do that as well. They'll number them 01, 02, 03, etc. And when you do that, just be sure that you use enough digits in your numbering. Let's say you're going to have 12 numbers. Make sure you use at least 2 digits so that you can say 01, 02, etc., all the way through 12, and that way they order properly. If you're going to have more than two digits, you're going to go into the hundreds. Make sure you use 3 digits when you're doing your numbering, so 0, 0, 1, etc. Okay. Last thing related to that is for your transaction statuses, right? Sometimes we'll see people who want to have, let's get these down here, they want certain transaction statuses to appear at the bottom of the list, right? In that case, they can use a special character or preface it with a Z, etc., so it falls to the bottom. Often that'll be cases where they're admin-specific statuses that they only want the admins to use, in which case you can still include, so maybe it's Z closed admin use only, so you can still include language that says that it's only for admins, but again it falls to the bottom, so things like that. So just so that it sorts to where you want it to go. So we'll see that occasionally with statuses, just so that they're not at the top, so that people are accidentally selecting them or even having to see them when they're typically not going to use them. Okay. And that's it that we've got for sorting today.